Well, here we are. I get all the drywall up, all the seams taped, gaps filled. Um, if you remember, if you watched the other video, I had huge gaps up here where I had to cut the old plaster out where it met the ceiling, and there was huge gaps. And I mentioned in the other video that the only thing that I like to use is Durabond. It fills these gaps, and then it doesn't crack, and it hardens like concrete. I had my fan on here, and I think the customer turned it off too early. I always tell people I like to leave the fan on overnight to speed this up when you put it on thick. As you can see, there's one rule of thumb with drywall compound. To tell that if it's dry, it's totally white. If it still looks a little darker color, that means it's still damp, which this along the edge is probably still a little damp. And it's hard, but even though it says 90 minute, it takes, when you put it on thick like that, it takes a fan on it overnight, really blowing hard all night, and it'll dry it out so you could sand it. Now if you sand, I'm gonna sand this lightly and put my tape over it, it should be fine. But if you had to sand this down, it would clog your sandpaper all up because it's still a little, you can tell by the difference in the color. And that's always how I go by with Durabond, with drywall compound. Like in this wall here, if it, that's still probably a little damp right there. But I'm gonna sand it, get the rough edges off, and I gotta tape this corner, and then this whole thing gets filled with compound, so I'm not worried about that. It'll dry. This came out pretty good. I put metal corner around everything, around these edges. This came out perfect. I couldn't have planned this any better. It just came out perfect. Metal edge met the old plaster. Finish this corner off, it'll look like it never was apart. So now I gotta start the process, get this sanded lightly. I gotta sand over the rough edges and then get it taped, and then sand over the other stuff that I did. I gotta do all these, go up and sand that down and put more compound, regular drywall compound. Another thing that I've learned, I don't do drywall every day, as you can tell, but the thing that I'm learning the hard way is what you see a lot of these professional guys do. They have tapers and everything. Well, they thin their drywall down, the compound down, mix it with water, thin it down. So when you put the tape and stuff on, the tape hold, it goes, it just, once you embed it never usually comes out. But I use this other product, and this is where I cheat a little bit. I use this other product. I use it on all my corners. I used to use tape in the corners, and forever the tape, if I didn't get enough compound, it would peel off. So I've started using this stuff. It's called Perfect Corner, and I use it all the time. Original Perfect Corner, and sometimes I use it on outside corners, but mostly it's on inside corners. And I've been doing it on my seams, especially a butt seam. I use this, and then I can build out from there. And yesterday I tried this for the first time. This is a tapered seam. And normally I put mesh, like I did over here. I put mesh in. And I wanted to try this in a tapered seam, and so far it looks awesome. I just love this stuff because once you embed it, and it just, especially corners and ceilings, the finishing is effortless. With this seam here that I just did, I could sand this down right now, and I wouldn't have to do anything else. But I'm going to put another coat of a little thicker compound on, you'd probably still see the edges. You'd still see the edges here. So I gotta, I'll do the whole process. But I love this stuff. And this is my go-to corner and seam. This is, like I said, this is the first time I tried a tapered seam. We'll see how this comes out. It's kind of an experiment. Anyways, onward.